name is Mary. Thank you for joining us today while we stretch and get a little stronger, so our everyday activities are just a little easier to do. Before you begin this or any other exercise program, of course, you're going to want to check with your doctor, and he'll say, well, these are the exercises that are good for you, but be careful of these. So that's why we want to check with the doctor. Also, you'll want to wear loose, comfortable clothes like Carol and I have on to make sure that when you bend, you're not, if you have like a too tight waist, that's hard. If you have like a button-up blouse and it's tight and you go like this, you can't get your most beneficial moves if your clothing is restrictive. Also, you'll want to have water that we drink before, during, and after our time together. And you'll want to work at your own pace. Gosh, if Carol and I are working a little too fast and you need to slow down, you go right ahead and do it. If we're working too slowly and you want to pick up the pace and you can do it safely, well, you go right ahead and do that. But you don't want to bounce and you don't want to force any move. You just want to work at your own pace, and you're going to be just fine, especially if you work with us again and again. Little by little, you're going to get stronger, and you're going to be able to do the whole exercise program together. Yay! So that's why it's important to listen to our body, because safety is number one. Speaking of safety, we're going to want to check our environment. We're going to want to make sure as we look down at the floor, knowing full well that we'll be stepping forward and back and out and in, we need to make sure that that area is clear. Also, because we're working with weights, and these are heavy weights, we'll be going side to side, lifting them up and down. So we'll want to make sure our environment where we're going to be moving is safe for us to move in. Also, you'll want to smile. Golly, if you smile, everything seems better. And once we're smiling, we've checked our environment, we say to ourselves, well, I wonder about my chair. Well, you'll notice that Carol has a chair with arms, and I have a chair without any arms. So whether you have arms on your chair or not, you can still exercise with us. We will take any excuse you have and just make it go away, kind of disappear. Before you begin, you'll want to make sure that you do check your chair and make sure your chair doesn't have any rockers on it. Or if you do have wheels on your chair, you'll want to make sure you're locked in so you're not flying all around. Unless, of course, you want, safety is number one. Safety is number one. And you'll find that if you eat well and take nice deep breaths, Carol, who's a dancer, will always remind me about breathing deeply, breathing deeply. So if you eat well, your body feels good, and if you breathe deeply, you can move well. Speaking of Carol, let's meet Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol, and I'm really glad to be with you today. And did you ever think of having an exercise party? Why don't you invite some of your friends over while we're on TV, and you can all do the exercises together. That'd really be fun. Try it. I think you'll like it. As Mary said, I was a dancer, so exercise is very important to me. And as I get older, I have arthritis, so it really helps to keep me limber. I really, really can't stress enough how much exercise can do for you. And you do what you can do. That's all anyone can ask. So invite your friends and enjoy.
I'd never heard that. An exercise party. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am always looking for a party. And so if there's an exercise party, I'll jump in the middle of it. But you might not want to tell your friends it's an exercise party. You might want to invite them over for drinks, and then their drinks are water.
They may not like that.
They might not like that. But I do love that. So that's a really good part. An exercise party. I love it. So that's Carol. I'm Mary. You've checked with your doctor, your clothes are loose and comfortable, you've got water. We're ready to go. Listen to what we're doing today. We're working with any plastic bottle with a tight cap. You can have a bottle, and what we're going to do is work with weights. So this bottle is going to become a weight. Also, we're going to shift the weight. So you want to make sure that you put some water in a bottle and start low. And then the more comfortable you get, you can fill it up a little more. And at the really, when you're strong, you can really fill it up all the way. You might only have a big bottle. What I find lots of fun is if I'm going to work with a bottle with water in it, I'm going to want it pretty. So here we are, we have these lovely colors with food coloring. So you can have a big bottle, but you don't have to fill it all the way up if it's too heavy. You can fill it this far up. And then if you do a week or two with us and it's this far up, you may want to say, golly, I can add more water, which is going to make it heavier. You might want to work with both a heavy and a lightweight, which is what Carol and I are going to do. She doesn't know that yet. So you can have a big bottle with a little water or a lot of water. You could start like this and say to yourself, golly, this is really too heavy for me. Well, you can excuse yourself, undo it, and pour a little water out. If you say it's too light for me, undo the cap and pour a little in. So, this is what we're working with, a bottle full of water. What I think is lots of fun is if we had actual bottles full of water, and when we were thirsty, we'd drink a little. Our weight would get lighter and lighter and lighter.
That's one way to do it.
That's one way to get our water in, because at the end of class, you should have no water in your bottle. Okay, so run around the house and find a plastic bottle and really make sure it's screwed on tightly. Because if we're doing this and all of a sudden you've got blue dye on your carpet, you're going to be really mad at me. But I told you to screw your cap on tightly. So, Carol, I don't know which one you decided to do.
The green one.
The green one.
Yeah, that's in between.
Okay, that's in between. That's a nice in between one. Now, this one looks like it has the same amount of water in it, but this is a much bigger bottle, so it has more water in it. So when it comes to working with a heavy weight, this is the one that Carol's going to use. I'm going to use this one, and then when it comes to a heavier weight, I'm going to try to use this, but if it's too heavy for me, I'm going to change back. So know that you can always change, always, always, always. We're going to be holding the weight with our hands, so we're going to make sure that we are all warmed up, our hands and fingers, and our shoulders and elbows, as well as the whole body. We're going to begin down at the bottom by just tapping the toes. Then we'll place our hands on our thighs with the fingertips close to the knees. As our toes tap, so go with the hands. There you go. Whenever I say go with, I always think of reading the Bible. Do you know that the Bible says that men have to make the coffee? Yeah, it's right in the Bible. It's in Hebrews. Sorry about that. Okay.
And I fell for it.
Now the toes and the fingers rest. We tap our heels. Sitting nice and tall, we're going to lift the heels of the hands, keeping our fingers in contact with the leg very close to the knee. There you go. Good job. And now we're going to relax both the heels of the hands as well as the heels. Our fingers are up. As the toes go out, so goeth the fingers. Now, we're getting pretty good at this. So do you want to pick up the pace?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. 8 and 7 and 6. And it's like cupboard doors.
You weren't kidding.
3, 2, and 1. Wow, that was pretty good.
That was fun.
Now, we're going to get the hands, so we're going to add the feet going out and in. We did the hands like this. Now we're going to do palms down. And this is kind of hard because it's a lateral and medial move for the wrist. So the wrist is going out and in. This is one we don't do a lot, so just do your best. We'll start with the heels, out and in, slowly. Well, that's really fast. And in. Now we add the fingers, heels and fingers out. So it's like resting our hand on the kitchen table and sliding the pinkies out and pulling the pointer and the thumb in. Let's pick up the pace for 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2. You're done. I don't know about you, but I felt that in my wrist.
And it also is quite, you need coordination for that. Quite Yeah, it can be tricky.
But you did it.
I did it.
Okay, now we're going to work both the knees, which is the next joint, and the elbows. So we're going to have one heel tap out and then the other. We're sitting nice and tall, and our elbows are close to the body, but we reach down towards the outside of the knee, and the pinky goes down and the thumb comes up to the shoulder. And now you say to yourself, well, can I make it a little more challenging? Surely. Try both hands down. I'm not going to have you do both legs. Down and up and down and up. And now we're going to pick up the pace. Are you ready? Here we go.
Okay.
4, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and done.
Yay.
Woo-hoo! That was great. And I don't know about you, but my heart rate got up a little bit. Probably not you. She's a dancer. What? So I'm going but she's doing great. Okay, we're going to lean back a little now. We're going to work the hips. Okay, and the shoulders and the elbows. Our fingers are by our shoulders, and as we lean back, we push away, and we sit up nice and tall. I'll show you from the side. As you lean back, your chin remains parallel to the floor. The reason that is you want the hip ribs to drop down a little bit, and yet we're keeping the chest lifted. We want to avoid arching the low back. So that's why we keep the chin down, we keep our elbows underneath our shoulders, we lean back, and then that stomach has to pull us up. We lean back, then the stomach pulls us up. There you go. So we're getting the belly. Now we're going to get the back. We place the hands on the thighs, chest is up, we lean forward and back. Now, Carol and I are utilizing our hands to press gently into the thighs, assisting in that back working and getting stronger. If you say to yourself, golly, I'd like to get my back even stronger. When you come back, try to lift one hand. Good. And then when you come back, try to use the back muscles and only use one hand. Good. Now, just use one hand softly and gently pressing into the thigh. And if you say to yourself, gee whiz, I'd like more of a challenge. Be careful of your back. We're leaning forward, and now we're letting our back pick us up. So we're letting the back work to draw us up into good posture. Then we use the abdomen or the belly to pull us up in the opposite way. Either way, we're having a blast. So now we know we're going forward and back. We have to get into rotation. So here we go. The hands are going to tap outside, up, and outside. So you'll notice that the shoulder is drawing front and the other shoulder is drawing back. There you go. That's great. Okay, so you can tap the outside of the thigh and outside of the opposite knee if you'd like. And then we can go a little quicker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Now you'll notice what Carol was doing. Carol was doing a little more reaching. So whenever you want a little more, just follow Carol. Speaking of a little more, let's add weight. Okay, we're going to start with our light weight. We always start light.
Woo. Yeah, I know this is.
There you go. And we're going to hold it in 2 hands. Remember when we were leaning back and forward? Well, we're just going to lean back now. And as we do, the weight comes forward. And then we sit nice and tall. We lean back, and our stomachs are tightening up. There you go. That's it. Our shoulders are relaxed and down. You'll notice that our ears are directly over the shoulders. The shoulders are right over the hips when we're sitting up nice and tall. And our hips are right behind our knees, and right underneath our knees are our great feet. Okay, now when we lean back, pick the toes up. And now, lean back and pick the toes up. So you're going to feel the muscles on the side of the shin. Can you feel that a bit?
I can't get my my feet, my whole foot wants to come up.
Okay, now the
That's
reason her whole foot
what?
wants to come up is we have to take a minute
Why?
and walk the fanny forward.
See,
There
this
you go.
chair.
Oh,
It's the chair.
It's not Carol.
No, it's the chair.
Okay, lean back, toes up, and sit tall. You can also avoid the feet picking up if you make sure that you don't lean back too far.
Well,
See, she's nice and strong in her abdomen, so like she could go back and touch the chair back. And now we're going
That
to
would
come
be
back
good.
just a little bit. Come back just a little bit. So you're leaning back just a little bit, just so that your shoulders aren't directly over your hips. And we're going to bring the bottle outside one hip, back to center, and over to the other hip. What's happening when we do this is we're starting to work the sides of the back as well as the sides of the sides of the waist. There you go. Isn't this a fun
And
one?
I can still feel it in my tummy.
You can still feel it in your tummy.
Which is good. 'Cause
Which is great. And your toes are up, your toes are up, your toes are
my
up.
toes are up. Yay.
4, 3, 2, and done.
Yay.
Now, as long as we're
Ooh.
here, as long as our forearms are resting on our thighs and the crack in the wrist is right by the knee, with our palms up, we're holding our weight, and we're going to let the weight come down but not drop out of our hands, and we're going to curl it up and in. So this is a wrist curl. Don't you love it when the exercises tell you exactly what it is? This is our wrist curl. We're going to feel this in our forearms. And now we're going to take this exercise and rotate the hand palm down. So you're going to have really good grip with this one, particularly if you have a heavy weight. Our forearms are relaxing on our thighs. Our shoulders are backing down and our ears are pulled up away from the shoulders. We lift the knuckles towards the chest and then we drop the knuckles down. Can you feel this a little bit?
A little bit. But if you have arthritis, this is not easy. Because you can't, your grip is a little hard to do.
So that's a good thing to know if it's a little hard on your hands to grip.
Yeah, if you have arthritis, it's going to be.
And you may want to bring the thumb over and pull it up like this without separating the thumb without the thumb being under.
Yeah, because I have it in my thumb.
Okay. And then slowly up we go. Now we're going to do one arm at a time and then both arms. We're sitting nice and tall. We have our one weight. We're bringing it down by our sides. Our elbows tucked in, the elbows directly under the shoulder. Our chest is high, shoulders back and down, and the weight comes up and down. Now, the interesting thing about working with water in a bottle is that when we come up, it's pulling my weight over.
Back.
And when we come down, it pulls my weight back. So we're working slowly so we don't get like pitched forward or back or have the weight shoot out of our hand.
And if you have arms on your chairs, be careful.
Right.
Because you can bump them coming
Right.
down.
So you'll notice her elbow is wide. It's still under her shoulder, but it's wide. And now we're going to switch hands, if you please. It's
Oops.
down
This is the tricky one.
and up. Good. Nice and tall we're sitting. The weight goes down and up. And I don't know about you, but one hand seems a little more difficult to work than the other. So you want to remember, if one side's a little easier than the other, well, gosh, you're normal. That's always nice to know.
It's
So
nice.
the elbows directly under the shoulder. There you go. You're sitting nice and tall. Gosh, you feel great. And you're sitting tall. Like my dance teacher, Gloria Rossetti, said, imagine that you have a little string on the top of your head.
Pulling you up.
And it's pulling you up with a silver star.
Oh,
and-
that's nice. A silver star.
And then
pretty.
come back down. So that's a lot of work on the one hand. Singly, our arms could really carry a lot more weight if we work double. So now we're going to put that down and grab our heavy weight. Whoa. Now we're going to
Whoa.
do biceps with it. Wow, I think you've got more than I do.
We'll see.
Okay, heavy weight, two hands. When your two hands are holding the heavy weight, you want to make sure the back of the hand is flat. You don't want the wrist to curl down like this because it pulls the shoulder up and it puts a lot of pressure on this forearm flexor. So when the back of the hand is flat, our shoulders can relax down. Here we go. Weight from the thighs to the chest. Up and down. 2. There you go. How fun is this? And it's up. and down. Now we're having so much fun, we're going to slow it down and lean back a little bit. Now we're drawing the weight back, so it's a little more work for our stomachs. Back a little. Now remember, when we lean back, the chin drops down so that our chin is parallel to the floor and our chest is up, but our ribs drop down and the small of our back does not arch up. There you go. You want to pull the belly in to make sure that back is nice and secure. Now, we're going to hold the weight to our chest as we lean back and push it up a little bit and down. There you go. Can you feel that a little bit? This is a hot diggity dog, in case you were wondering what the name of this exercise is. It's an incline press, and we're working the abdomen.
Press.
It's an abdominal crunch because we're pulling up, and we're doing an incline press, so we're reaching. Now, you notice Carol is scooping down and up, so she's giving you a little bit more work. I'm just going directly up from the chest to where the wall meets the ceiling. Carol's giving you a scoop. So she's giving you the latest scoop. Last two, it's up and down, and last one here and down. So that's a lot of work. We put the heavier weight down. There you go. We're going to give our hands a break. Okay, we're just going to have them over the knee, and then we're going to slide them under the knee, and as we lean back, we're just going to pull a leg up and down. So here's my question, because Carol was on tour from Broadway doing traveling musicals. My question is, do they really say break a leg?
Oh, yes.
They do?
Oh, yes.
Who knew?
And there's another, what you would say, superstition, that you're not allowed to say Macbeth in the dressing rooms.
Really?
Yeah. It's just an old suspicion and superstition that goes with the theater.
Aren't we lucky ducks? We have Carol. So if any of us go into the theater, we'll know not to say Macbeth in the dressing room.
Not to the actors.
Not to the actors. Okay, last one here and relax. Now, one of the things we really want to do is have good posture. If you have good posture, you reduce your risk of falling. If you have bad posture and you're all rounded over like this, it's really difficult to take a great big breath in. But many times, because we don't want to fall, our heads are dropped down because our gaze is. And then to compensate for the big heaviness of the weight dropping down, sometimes our bellies go forward, sometimes we arch our back, sometimes we round the upper back, and that we totally don't want to do because it just begins that curve forward. So we're going to strengthen the muscles in our upper back by grabbing our lighter weight or our heavy weight. I'm going to grab my lighter weight.
Me too.
We're going to sit nice and tall. We're going to lean forward with one hand on our thigh, not on the knee directly, but close to the knee. The hand drops down beside us, and we pivot forward from the hinge on the hips. The weight goes from our calf up to our hip. And you'll notice that our elbow scoots along our ribs.
It's hard when you have
Okay, so when it's hard, when you have an arm on your chair, you're like this.
Have to
you're gonna
I don't know. How do you
scooch
do
this
it?
way.
Yeah.
So you're gonna bring your legs. No. Okay.
Well, you do left.
Perfect.
Okay.
Long spine, flat back goes forward, and pull
Now
up
you can.
and down.
That's it.
Bring that weight. Keep your elbow close to your body. That'll protect the shoulder. Now you'll notice as you're drawing the elbow up, you'll feel your shoulder blade roll in towards the spine. And that way you know for sure that you're really working the muscles on your upper back, which is exactly where we want to go because we want that upper back to hold us into good pressure, good posture. And now we're going to hold it up a little. Let's make it harder. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. Let it wrap around the front of our knees so we can stretch out that back, which we just contracted. And then slowly come back to center. Could you feel that a bit? Okay. Now, we're going to lean forward, but remember, you want to have a base of support so your back doesn't take the work. So your hand is on your thigh, close to your knee. Breathe in, long spine. Exhale, flat back comes forward. We bring the weight up to our hip and down to our calf. And if you're saying to yourself, golly, this is nice, but I'd like a little more work, of course you can get more work. You'll notice that both Carol and I are using just our arm. So we're not going down and up. We're using just our arm. If you'd like a little more work, bring your bottle forward slightly. So your bottle goes down and forward, up and back, and really pull that elbow high. So remember, you can always make it easier or more difficult. If you want to make it easier, well, number one, of course, you could dump some water out. But number two, you could go to a smaller range of motion before the calf and before the hip. So always make it work for you. We only have 4 more left. Doggone it. 3 and 2 and 1. We sit nice and tall. Let's roll that out and cross over the knees. So we're really stretching out the back that we just contracted those muscles, rolling the shoulder blade into the spine. And then we come back to center and we go, gosh, this is so much fun. I hate to give my bottle up. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the heavy bottle, put it on one leg, and the light bottle on the other leg.
Wow.
Oh, geez, you've got a heck of a thing going on there. Okay, when we are going to lift our knees, if the bottles seem too heavy for our legs, we can pull the bottles closer to our hips, and that'll decrease the resistance. Okay, so we're going to lean back a little bit and pick up one leg and the other. So we're going to walk 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and switch. Okay, heavy bottle on one leg. I'm really glad I screwed these caps on tightly.
Yeah, I'm glad
so
too.
This is asymmetrical training. One side has a heavy weight, one side has a light weight. Lean back a little bit, pull the belly in, chest up, shoulders down, and let's step our cheek. Carol's got a heck of a thing going on.
Yep.
Okay, let's take 8 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and done. Golly, that was great. Okay, let's put our weights down. You did a super duper job today. Thank you for joining us. We've had our hands around the weights, so we're going to interlace our fingers and push the palms down. If this is difficult for you and you have arthritis in your hands, simply place one hand on top of the other and push both hands down. Lift the chest up through. Good job. Push away. Round the back like you did. Bring a little to the one side, a little to the other side, back to center, and reach up to the sky and float the arms down. Good work. Taking a great big breath in. And as you exhale, shake all your cares and worries out and know that all will be well. Yippee! Let's get some water.
This really calls for water.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.